This is the Bears Barroom Radio Network, and the following program is brought to you by the Verdoliak Law Group, fighting insurance companies since 1963, and TickSplits.com. TickSplits.com, no service fees. The price you see is the price you pay.
This is the Bears Barroom Radio Network. The following program is recorded live and intended for all audiences.
Radio is scripted now. We just come up with it. We don't use computers. We don't rehearse. We're going to talk about this next. We're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about the Bulls. And then we're going to have Brad Bigson. And then we're going to have all this. No. If you don't know what you're going to talk about in the top of your head before a show, you shouldn't be in the business. I don't know what you got. I feel like Vince Vaughn in a couple's retreat. The Sharks are circling. Old school, baby!
You're listening to the Mike North Advantage, and it begins right now.
That's right. The Mike North Advantage starts right now. I am Aldo Gandia, Mike's wingman, and it is Monday night. That means Mike has a very special guest with him tonight. It is Mark Munch Bishop, longtime Cleveland area sports talk show host. Mike and Mark will talk one-on-one for the first half hour of the show, and then I will come in, and then Mike and I will talk about who knows what. It's unscripted. It's live radio. Let's welcome now the star of the show, Mike North. How are you, my friend?
Aldo, a Monday night, it's cold, it's windy, it's freezing, it's the Antarctic, it's one of the worst of all time. What can I tell you? I can't believe what's going on here. It's like you're in a Klondike, for God's sake. But you know what? I'm feeling good about things. I'm feeling good about Mark Munch Bishop. If we ever find him, he's supposed to be our guest tonight. Beautiful host from Cleveland, almost 4 decades over there in the wonderful world out there that we call the Rust Belt City. And we haven't been able to get a hold of him. And quite frankly, we've done what only congenial hosts would do. He's got about 5 minutes. Then he's dead to us. Do you know what I mean? No, I've known Munch for a long time. They're maybe, they're an hour ahead. It's like 8 o'clock in Cleveland, where he's an institution, and he's going to be put in an institution if he doesn't call us. I just want to throw that in. Not that we're upset about him blowing us up, but no, 7 o'clock. And you know what? Munch is a great, great guy. Maybe there's a mix-up in the plans, but I do know this. Next week, we're going to have Hawk Harrelson.
Yes!
Yes, we're going to have Hawk Harrelson join us, and that's going to be a wonderful thing. So we're going to talk some White Sox baseball, because I know you've been taken to task because of your so-called biases, which happens to every talk show host there is, when it's in Chicago. Oh, you're a Cub fan. Oh, you're a Sox fan. Oh, you act like a 10-year-old. You know what I mean? I'm just in the mode now where we want to win something, but I understand where people get the bias. But Hawk's going to be joining us, so it should be a lot of fun.
Oh, my gosh. So what has Hawk been up to? I'm sure he's probably playing 36 holes every day now, wherever he's retired to, right?
Well, I talked to him today, and we talked briefly because last week he couldn't make it. And he told me basically that he doesn't play as much golf as he used to because he's got his wrists are shot.
Oh, wow.
And I guess his wrists.
Yeah.
And he says his wrists are shot, and he's just not the same as, golfer as he could be because you get arthritis. He played baseball, he played golf, so he did it all. And we're going to talk to him next week about his life, about his lack of not being in the Hall of Fame and stuff like that. And we'll talk about the White Sox, because if ever there is a person that you can get and read between the lines about when it comes to the White Sox, it's Hawk.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens next week when he joins us. But I'll tell you, there's a lot going on in the world of sports. Got a big basketball game tonight at oh, by the way, I've been on fire.
I know you've been on fire. Man, money coming out of your ears.
I take no prisoners, my friend. None. I take no prisoners, and I am like 19-5. And in my last 24.
That is awesome,
Which
Mike.
is unbelievable.
19-5 is got to be the top handicapping record out there. No one better, right?
Well, right now, I got to tell you, it was 18-1-1, as you know, in the NFL. And believe me, nobody will ever forget it because I'll remind everybody. Okay? But 19-5 in basketball, in college basketball, it's insane.
It is something.
It's insane.
This system you got is really working for you.
Ruth, Jordan, Chamberlain, Elvis, the Beatles, North. Period. Greatness has different rooms. Different rooms. You know? I'm in the room with the 100 points in a game guy, the 60 homers guy, the guy that had gold records every time he churned them out. I'm with the king, the real king. Because the other king, I don't know, what's LeBron James now? He's going to be like in exile.
Yeah.
He's going to be like exile. How about that? They were saying he was going to be MVP. Don't tell me he's the best player in basketball. He can't even get his team in the playoffs.
Well, I'll tell you.
I'll go all night long like Lionel Richie. I was prepared to interview Munch. Munch went west. Munch goes west. That's a new Western. A new Western.
Well, you mentioned LeBron James's name. Snoop Dogg is a huge Lakers fan, and he's not real happy with what's going on in the court in L.A. He posted on social media his disgust with the team, and I wanted to play that for you. It took me about 10 minutes to add on all these bleeps here because we wanted
Wow, really?
Yeah, we wanted to keep our word to our fans when we say at the top of the show that the show is suitable for everybody. So here it is, and if you're offended by bleeps and bleep words that sound like the F word, you better turn your radio down for 40 seconds. Here it goes.
Bad year, man. It was terrible watching my Steelers play this year, and it's fucking terrible watching my Lakers play. Somebody got to go. This is not the LA way. Get a slave ship and ship all them sorry motherfuckers the fuck out of here. Sick of this trying to act like it's going to be all right, it's going to be cool, they going to figure it out, they going to grow. These sorry motherfuckers ain't going to do shit. Nothing. Get LeBron some fucking help, because these goofballs ain't going to do shit. They sorry. They fucking suck. I'm selling my fucking booth right now. I got a booth for the next 2 years, 3 years. This year, y'all can have it. $5 for the motherfucking booth to the Laker games. $5 is the price. Anybody can have it. All the homies hit me. Blow me up right now.
That's classic. That is classic. That's unbelievable.
Well, you know what? I know what he's talking about. I mean, we like they act like they're alone.
Yes,
they had
I know.
It so good for so long. They had it so good for so long, the Lakers. Mm-hmm. I mean, every time you turned around, Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, Lou Alcindor, Shaquille O'Neal, Pau Gasol, Kobe Bryant. I mean, my God, Norm Nixon. I mean, even their second stringers were great.
Yeah.
You know, Michael Cooper. Every time you turned around, they were winning Magic.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Yep.
And now I'm going to feel sorry for them. Have you seen the Bulls? Although they're playing better of late, have you seen the Bulls the last 4 years?
Yeah, I have.
And I'm going to tell you something. LeBron James, here's the problem. Am I screaming?
No.
I feel like I'm screaming. Or do I just have energy?
Lots of it.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying. Anyway, I'm just trying to get my bearings. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyway, I got to tell you something. When you look at it, LeBron James, and people go, Mike, how did you win so many accolades? Because I look at things differently than the average host. Mm-hmm. Because if you're going to look at everything the same way everybody else is, that's what makes you an average host. Now, I heard Snoop, stick to rap, or whatever the hell you're doing now. Whether it's game show hosting, I saw him the other night. I can't even watch the $25,000 pyramid without him showing up. I got to tell you something. It's ridiculous. What happened to my game shows? Anyway, all I'm going to tell you is that LeBron James is a carpetbagger.
Yeah.
And what that means is he goes to good situations, and he grabs the top fruit off the tree, incorporates it with his brand. Mm-hmm. Okay, for instance, what did he have in Miami? a veteran team.
Right.
He had Wade. He had Bosch. Okay? He had Haslam. He had a bunch of guys. They were all veterans. What did he have with the Cleveland team that won it all when Draymond Green did not play Game 7? Everybody seems to forget that. The Golden State Warriors, lost Draymond Green in that 7th game, but that he still beat them. That being said, J.R. Smith, Kevin Love, just guys, Tristan Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't even know how he has got any legs left, for God's sake, that poor guy. He had a 7-some.
A 7-some.
You know what? At the same time, I'd have a waiting room, at least. A green room. What the hell's going on? He had a 7-some.
Wow.
Okay? Yes. Did you know that?
I did not know that. That's enough for...
Don't believe with Snoop Dogg, but he had a 7-some.
Jeez. That's pretty incredible. Good for him. A 7-some. That's something he'd tell the grandkids.
It's just bad for a lot of people that never have had a 2-some. Whether separately or together in their whole life. This guy gets 7 in one night.
Ooh, not
bad.
Anyway.
I try to tell you to keep it clean. That's why we did the beeping. No. All I'm going to tell you is this. LeBron James does not have a team. He's not a leader. He wasn't a leader in high school. He was the best player. There's a difference.
Right.
He's a great player. He's not a leader. So he can't lead young men. He tried to trade them all. Snoop.
Mm-hmm.
He backstabbed them all.
Yeah.
And you know what? They act like he didn't know what he was getting himself into. He bit off more than he could chew, period.
Exactly. And I think, I think the other thing is that LeBron's interests are now divided with Hollywood projects, all of his business and so forth. This isn't the guy who, like Michael Jordan, even when Jordan was with the Wizards, he still had a will to win that was red hot. He would scare his teammates into playing better, and LeBron just doesn't have that. And I think his teammates kind of see that in him.
Well, and here's another thing. He's a guy that when you jump around so much, sooner or later, it's going to take its toll. There's he's carrying the biggest burden of his career on his shoulders right now. He walked into this. He knew what he was doing. You're right about that, Aldo, that he's splitting time, which you can't. Mm-hmm. You can't. And, I'm tired of hearing he's the greatest basketball player right now. No, I take Steph Curry right now. Mm-hmm. I would take Kevin Durant right now, as much as I don't like what he did. And you're seeing this in the league. There's guys that think they can beat Jordan. Guys that think they can beat Kobe. Guys that think they can beat LeBron. Look at Kyrie Irving. What a mess this guy is. I mean, he's going to end up on 4 or 5 teams.
Yes,
he was supposed to be the beat-all, end-all. They were better. They made it to the finals last year, conference finals, without him. And now, every time he plays, they lose. Every time he doesn't, they win. There's got to be a connection.
There's got to be a connection. I totally agree.
Right.
I think, that the anyone that question who the greatest player in NBA history is, if they are still claiming that LeBron James is, after what's happening in L.A., they have got to get a reality check.
Well, you know what I love? I heard today they said, a lot of people thought that they weren't going to make the playoffs. I heard Max Kellerman say that. But yet he picked them to make the playoffs. His partner picked them to make the playoffs. And I'm trying to remember when people were saying LeBron wasn't going to make the playoffs. He was full of crap. I heard that today. I mean, people were predicting LeBron was going to be MVP. It's time to get your chin off his nutsack. Period. My God. Who needs an arm rest? You got a chin rest.
Hey, Mike,
Man.
before we went on the air, I saw that Michael Reinsdorf, the chief operating officer of the Chicago Bulls.
And one of the reigning members of the Lucky Sperm Club.
He was trending because he consented to do an interview with the Chicago Sun-Times. And let me read a little bit about what he said here.
Who did the interview, first of all?
Joe Colley, your old buddy, Joe Colley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
but you know what? I'll be anxious to read that because Joe's got some bread.
Yeah, this came out about 2 hours ago here on Monday night. And Colley writes, Reinsdorf, this being the younger one, was adamant in disputing the idea that Paxson is on his fourth or fifth rebuild attempt since taking a front office job in 2003.
I'll take credit for some of that. I'm one of the guys pushing that narrative.
Yeah, are you really?
I'm the one that said, what is this bill? I don't know what the White Sox or the Bulls what rebuild they're on. I get confused.
I know. And he goes on to write, the way Reinsdorf sees it, there was the process that got them to the Derrick Rose rebuild and now the current rebuild. And this is what Reinsdorf is quoted as saying. People think that the Reinsdorfs, my dad and myself, that it's just about loyalty. It's not about loyalty for us. It's about we believe we have the right people in place. So that's what I would say.
It's about loyalty. There you go.
Exactly.
Come on, Junior. That's why they put a JR next to your name. It's about loyalty to your father.
Yeah.
It's not about Paxson or Gar.
Mm-hmm.
It's what your father wants. There was nothing that Rocky Wirtz could do except once in a while argue in the boardroom with his father, Bill.
Yeah.
But the other Wirtzes agreed with Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you just had to eat it. Here's the deal I know. Michael doesn't disagree with his father on anything, basically.
Yes, it seems that way, right?
When are you ever going to hear Reinsdorf Jr. at odds with Dad? How about never? How about never? How about Reinsdorf Jr. has his suit because of Dad, has his car because of Dad, which is fine.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you know basketball, son.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't.
Now the word
And you wouldn't say something stupid like that. You can't. See, the Reinsdorfs think they can talk to people, to the fans,
Mm-hmm.
like we know more than you. No, you don't. You're dog crap. You haven't done crap. Michael Reinsdorf is a member of the Lucky Sperm Club.
Boy, he hit it big too.
He couldn't get a job. He'd be working at some tech place or UPS. Period. Give me a break. Dad gets him a suit, gets him an office, and that's it. Come on.
That's it. Now,
Why
basketball.
is everybody running from that? I'm going to listen to Michael Reinsdorf. I forgot when I'm in a coma with a bullet wound in my head.
Jeez, Mike.
If I'm Kennedy and Jacqueline is looking for my head, I still know more basketball than that guy.
Holy cow,
God.
what an image.
Yeah.
The one thing about the NBA basketball, though, Mike, is they could, luckily get the first pick in the draft and draft this kid from Duke, Zion Williamson. And then all of a sudden, because NBA, all you need is...
Would you quit doing it, Zion?
Zion. I don't know why I say Zion. Jeez.
Let me tell you, the Bulls will get him, and in 3 years... He'll be at odds with management. Don't get rid of him.
That's right. Or
we had Jimmy. Or he'll get hurt.
Yes,
So
exactly.
either Derrick Rose or Jimmy Butler. One of the two.
Exactly. Another Nike
And
will
then
explode.
he'll get the blame. That's how they do it.
That's how they do it, right?
This is how we do it. Remember that song?
Oh, yeah.
This is how we do it. I used to cut a bean rug.
I was going to ask you, did you ever go to the discos during that disco age in the 70s, 80s?
I went to the discos in the 90s.
In
Chili.
the 90s. Look at you.
Oh, forget about Studio 54. Forget about it. We had our own little Studio 54 miniature size, and it was just a wonderful experience. The Carusos, I'll never forget it over there. Pete Palumbo, Mike, you'd see celebs, Shaq, Ditka. You'd read about it in Sneader and Cubs column. I mean, you'd have Gibsons. you'd have about 4, 5, 6 at Gibson's. Then everybody would head across the street to Jilly's.
Nice.
Before you know it, Christ, it's 4 o'clock. I got to get with Jigs in about 5 hours. You know what I mean?
Quick
I should have stopped for that burrito. That's why I was late.
That's one of the chapters in the book. I'm just teasing that to our
Oh,
listeners.
my God, the book's going great. What do we got this week? We got K? No. L.
L. Well, it's got to be love. That's
Lunatic.
Hey, we got Hawk Harrelson coming next week, and I'm looking at an article now. Hawk, one of the things that he predicted before he retired from the booth in 2018 season is that he said that Chicago was entering a golden age of baseball. He felt like this rebuilding effort by the White Sox was going to start paying dividends, and the big reason that he cited that was because of young players like Eloy Jimenez. What do you think about that? Let me get you kind of warmed up for the Hawk Harrelson interview next week. What do you think about Hawk's prediction that Chicago is going to go through a golden age of baseball with the Cubs?
Are you talking with the Cubs included?
Yes, I think that's what his intent was, is that good baseball on the north and south side.
Well, first of all, let me just say this. Golden age, I think of the Cubs. I heard that Joe Girardi made some comments today. And this is why you tuned into this show, because we get you up to snuff. Joe Girardi says he thinks the Cubs are going to have a fantastic year. I agree. You haven't heard a lot of hubbub coming out of camp, not a lot of distractions. No more hangover from the playoffs.
Right.
All that garbage. It's going to be the golden age.
Mm-hmm.
The White Sox, golden shower. Okay? I don't even know what to say anymore. I really don't. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, Hawk has said that forget about how many rebuilds the Sox have had. How many times has Hawk said White Sox teams are going to be great?
Yeah.
I got it from 10 to 15 times, and I'll tell him that. He knows I keep track of that.
Oh yeah.
You know.
I'll find one from the 70s or 80s or 90s.
Listen. You don't have to look far.
Yes.
You really don't, and that's fine. Look, Hawk has been called by people the most biased announcer in baseball.
Yeah.
And you know what? He can't run from that. And Hawk and I, when we have contentious interviews, it was because of that. Mm-hmm. I'd say, why don't you say more? And he'd say, because silence is golden. And if he kept quiet,
right,
he let the fans make up their mind. But I always thought he should say a little more. But you want to work for a living, and that's a dangerous place to be.
Yes, it is. I mean,
besides climbing Mount Rushmore, or basically jumping out of an airplane without a parachute. Working for the Reinsdorfs, if you criticize them, is a dangerous thing.
Well, I'm going to find some clips, too, because he was just priceless. A few times that I heard him just go off on the team, when he was rigging. He just couldn't hold back anymore, and he would just, practically swear at the team. There were a handful of times where he did that, but yeah, he would go silent for like 30 seconds, and you knew that he was either bound and gagged or that he just was holding
it's one or the other.
Yes.
And look, I understand. And Hawk is big. He's bitched many a time.
Oh, yeah.
About the team. But you got to travel with these guys. Listen,
right.
I did the Chicago Rush games, right?
Mm-hmm.
So me and Tom Dorr are doing the Rush games.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's happening is whatever you say on the air is being taped. And then the Rush guys would go home. And then they'd watch the game. And they'd hear me say, boy, he played like he's hungover, or something like that. And then the next day, I got to get on a plane to Fort Lauderdale with these guys.
Oh, my God.
It's not the easiest thing.
No.
I criticized because I was honest. That's my problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that strange when you...
We had this guy, Billy Dickens, quarterback, and he was good. Mm-hmm. And then he makes a bad pass, and I go, watch why he's playing here. The next thing, wait, but I love Billy. But the next thing you know, I walk into the bar like a week later.
There's Billy.
Where we're in Grand Rapids, and he's looking at me across the bar like I'm in Roadhouse, for God's sake. You know what I mean? So I get it all. I really do. And you got to play a fine line. And I made it through the season. I did 2 seasons with them, but it was tough.
It was. It had to be tough. It had to. Now, was the Rush owned
But
by...
I'll tell you, Fort Lauderdale, worst hangover I've ever had.
Oh, really?
Oh, my God, I went all night. And then the next day, I got to do an early game.
We should do that, a chapter in your book where you list the worst hangovers or you know, the best.
I don't have to go far. It was Fort Lauderdale.
Tell us more about that, Pat Pete.
I mean, we got there. We had a full day ahead of time. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I wasn't one of those, like, guys that goes out for a drink or 2 or 3 drinks. Okay, we get there. I get downstairs at the bar at 5 o'clock in the evening. Next thing you know, it's 6 o'clock in the morning.
Jeez.
And the bar's still open, for God's sake, and there's still people in there. And I come out, and it's like daylight, and it's about 90 degrees.
Oh.
But I have a window air conditioner in this hotel we're staying in.
Uh-huh.
The thing just blows out like average air. I wake up about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If I had a rope, I would have hung myself. That's how hungover I was. You know, you never mix the grain with the grape and all that other BS. But I had the time of my life. I did the game. I did a good job. But I was hurting. That's it. That's what you do. You show up.
You got to show up, first of all. You got to show
up. Oh, my God. But it was a roughie.
Well,
that was a rough one. I was running.
And you were one of these broadcasters who was gifted, blessed with the ability to perform under a hangover.
Right.
I mean,
oh my God, it was like working with the flu twice a week. I mean, really, hangovers is like having the flu. You just got to put it out. It's out of your mind. You see the light go on, you go to work.
Yeah,
you get in another gear.
Yeah.
And people don't want to. I never complained about hangovers. I would just say I went out on a world tour.
Yes. Exactly.
Last night I was at Gibson's, or I was at Chili's, or I was in the neighborhood Pasta. I might have been at that. I might have been at Zia's. Who knows? Any of those places. But nobody wants to hear how you felt this morning because there's guys listening, driving trucks and stuff. Forget about that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Now, was there something that you would take in the morning to help you, get back to
Pedialyte.
Pedialyte. There you go.
I was the first guy. Urlacher heard me on the air, and he started doing it. And even because it hydrates you anyway for working out or anything you do.
Absolutely.
BB got it for me. But it's flavored. It's like drinking Kool-Aid. It's fun.
Nice.
Drink about 2, 3, or 4. You rehydrate yourself, or you do it. I never did this. You have water. I knew guys that drank and then would have a glass of water next to them.
Mm-hmm.
So while they're drinking, they'll take a sip of the vodka, then they'll take water. Sip of the vodka, then they'll take a sip of water.
That doesn't sound right.
Well, just tricks. To me, I don't care how many sips of water you take. If you drink 3 bottles of champagne, you're going to be Bob.
Exactly.
Well, I drank some water.
It doesn't work for me anyway.
I drank 3 bottles of Dom. And but I got to be honest with you, I did drink about a quart of water.
Yeah, I used to get that advice too. If you're going to drink a lot, make sure you drink a lot of water. And so what happens is
I might as well have had. You know what? I might as well have had a canteen with me.
Exactly.
Forget about it.
Exactly. You're going to go to the washroom like about 500 times, and so the chances of you getting your head busted up by the porcelain chair.
My dad was an Irishman. He was an electrician. He didn't say, when I go to the bowling alley, we make sure we hydrate ourselves with water. My God. What happened to this country?
Now, we've been working on your autobiography. You shared with me that your dad was a prolific teetotaler. Not teetotaler, but a prolific.
Absolutely, he drank. But everybody did in the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Yes.
By the way, did you see any of TCM today?
No, I didn't see any. No.
You know what it was? Boxing Day all day.
Oh, missed it.
All boxing movies.
What'd you see?
The setup with Robert Ryan.
Oh, excellent movie.
A great movie.
Mm-hmm.
Fat City, another one with Stacy
Keach. Yes.
They had Robert Taylor was in one. Good, he was in good shape, but too good-looking a guy to be a boxer.
Yeah.
Ralph Meeker. They're still playing him. Let's see. as I look at the TCM guide by Homer. Really, I mean, thank God for TCM.
Oh, I love that channel.
They're off it now. Now it's called the King of Jazz. I don't know what that's about.
Well, let me tell you about the setup. That's like you said, Robert Ryan.
Robert Ryan.
He plays a boxer who has to take a dive in a fight, but his pride just won't let him. So it's a classic story, but this movie is just shot so well. The boxing scenes are realistic. Robert Ryan is just a great actor. I mean, a physical guy. I mean, this guy was not one of these actors that you had to give him lifts on his shoes or anything. This guy was built for action, and I thought his performance there was great. Do you remember who played the female lead, his wife?
Of course I do. Come on now, Audrey Trotter.
Audrey Trotter. Oh my gosh! And
one of the Queen of the Bee movies.
Yes, exactly. I heard. A lot of
Aldo,
stories.
what do you think? You're talking to kids here? Come on now. Now, no, I don't know how many people would know that off the top of their heads, to be honest with you. But no, and there were some bad boxing movies, too, that were on today. Ralph Meeker made a bad one. I forget what the name of it is, but it was not good at all. So, but it's hard. I mean, boxing movies, out of all the sports genres, are usually the most successful. Your Raging Bulls, if you will. The Great White Hope was on the other night with James Earl Jones, which is where he plays a guy named Jim Jefferson, and of course, who is really Jack Johnson. I love that movie. Great movie. That guy there is my favorite boxer of all time. As far as I think he's the greatest. I think in his prime, Jack Johnson would have kicked Muhammad Ali's ass. I do. I think he would have killed him.
Some of the films that I've seen of Jack Johnson boxing, this is really scratchy old film, but the guy looked like a beast. Oh my goodness,
he was a beast. I contend he would have whipped Muhammad Ali and anybody else's ass, and he did.
Yep.
Listen, they'd have 15,000 in the stands at Reno. Of which 14,996 are yelling the N-word, and his four handlers are just have cotton in their ears.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody was on his ass. He had death threats, everything else. And what does the guy do? He goes in their ring, and he beats the crap out of anybody he fights.
Yeah.
To me, you won't see a guy or people. That's why I admire the black athletes of the pre-50s, 1950s.
Absolutely.
To me, I hear Antonio Brown, and now it's good to see Larry Fitzgerald and everybody else. Larry Fitzgerald, I heard Chris Carter make a statement today. When Larry Fitzgerald says something negative about you, you're the bad guy.
Yep.
And Antonio Brown has been downing everybody. And I said this on our other show on Friday. The Rooneys. How can you down the Rooneys? They've done more for African Americans in football than anybody.
Yes.
And even Chris Carter said the father, the grandfather, and the great grandfather. So this Antonio Brown, and like I predicted, has managed to destroy his brand with a lot of people and his own peers. For what? He had 100 catches. For what? Why would you do that? Why would you take your career and just throw it in the dumpster? He said he's worth $30 million. I got news for you, pal. There's been guys worth $300 million that lost their dough. So you're a 30-year-old receiver. Period. I just don't get it, Aldo.
Right.
People don't appreciate what people do for them anymore.
Yeah, Greg,
I love Danny Lee.
Go ahead.
I love Danny Lee. He gave me my shot in 1992. I still keep in touch with the guy. Now, I guarantee you I'm in the minority. But I would not have my life without that guy. So I don't understand these guys. I did have talent, but somebody's got to give you a place to display it.
Yep. Greg Gabriel, who was the former scouting director for the Chicago Bears, tweeted out about 2-3 weeks ago, "This is why I gave a 6-round grade to Antonio Brown, because all of this off-the-field stuff made him poisonous to have on a team." And then he got a lot of flack from people on Twitter saying, "Oh, yeah, so you're just going to overlook the Pro Bowl seasons and the fact that he helped them win Super Bowl and so forth." And so that's exactly what Gabriel said, what you just
said. What did I say on the Mike North Advantage?
Mm-hmm.
Odell Beckham, Moss, Owen, Chad Johnson. What do they all got in common? They all got big mouths, and they all have cancers on their team. Yeah. And this guy's no different. While the media is kissing up to this guy, he destroyed that team from within. There are people, nobody catches the ball like he does, and nobody can destroy a football team like he does.
Right.
I don't get it.
Well, and it seems like it's just all based on jealousy. He just didn't like the fact that Roethlisberger was throwing the ball to Juju Smith-Schuster from the kid from USC, who's now in his second year.
You don't like Ben tough. Ben's the whipping boy over there right now because of things that he did wrong, but years ago.
Right.
Antonio Brown has committed his own sins.
Absolutely.
And you know what? Ben Roethlisberger has helped him get those catches. Let's not forget, folks, we come from Chicago. Until Mitch Trubisky, a lot of receivers died here because they didn't have capable quarterbacks. Period.
What happens if all of a sudden we learn that...
you think I'm getting a little bit hostile?
No, not hostile, but definitely excited.
I don't understand how people don't get who people that help them.
Yeah.
I don't
get it either. Let me ask you...
No matter what I did in my career, I always knew who helped me. My wife, Danny Lee. I mean, you just think a series of things happen for you to get to where you got to get.
Right.
And I'm sure, and Antonio Brown acts like the Steelers treat them like dog crap. That couldn't be more wrong. You sat out 3 times this year, son. My God. I don't get it.
Let me ask you a hypothetical.
It's Big Ben's fault, and it's Rooney's fault.
Yeah, right. That's just stupid. Let me ask you a hypothetical. All of a sudden, 31 NFL teams don't want to touch Antonio Brown. He's a free agent. His agent comes to the Chicago Bears and say, let us please sign a 1-year deal with the Bears, a prove-it deal so that we can show the NFL, that this guy is invaluable. $5 million, $7 million, whatever, and the Bears can afford it. You say no.
We can do without him. I want to see what he does when he goes to a new team. It's not like basketball, where a receiver's going to go somewhere else and that team's automatically going to go into the playoffs. It's not like you pick up a great player where you need one guy on a 5-man team.
Right.
You need 21 other guys. It's just a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
I love the Bears team the way it is. He'll come in and he'll set a bad example.
Right.
I'm sorry, he's a bad example. And when Larry Fitzgerald, the classiest guy maybe in football the last 25 years, is taking you out, that's not good. That's not good.
That isn't. I think he and Le'Veon Bell are kind of poisonous right now. These guys might have a hard time finding a team that really wants them on the roster.
And then the media will cry that nobody wants. They're blackballing them. Well, you know what? I don't care. I would be the first to say I'm going to blackball for my team because it's not a blackball. It's my team for the best interest of the team,
right?
Not for him. I'm going to not take him. And everybody could say that, and they'd all have a legitimate gripe, and they could look back at his past.
Right. Interesting. Mike, basketball...
Interesting. Yes.
That's my transition.
Yes, thanks for stopping in to Aldo Gandia and Company. Interesting. Sit down. So funny. I love you. I have so much fun with you. It's unbelievable. All these years of broadcasting, all I had to do was hook up with your goofy idiot. I mean, crazy. Just crazy.
The white Puerto Rican. Who knew you would have so much fun with the white Puerto Rican?
I just watched Frank Morgan earlier in a boxing film. Interesting.
We gotta tell the audience what your reaction was when you first met me, and you knew that I was Puerto Rican, and you saw this white guy walk in.
No, I wasn't sure you were Puerto Rican. I thought your name was Gandhi at first, and I thought you were of Pakistani or Indian type of descent. Okay. Then I heard through the grapevine that or I saw that you were Puerto Rican. Then I saw you and I thought you were Norwegian. So I'm sort of confused, if you mind, I don't know where I'm at.
It's funny because the mailman in the 1950s was Norwegian, so I don't know what my mom was up to.
Wow. Listen, his name was Nicky. Italian guy.
Uh-huh.
One of those sidekicks in the army movies in the 50s, real good-looking Italian guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hair combed back. This guy had a route. I guarantee you he had at least 8 girlfriends.
Not bad, huh?
Oh, the mailman got busy. This guy had a change of clothes.
Hey, speaking of getting busy, and you were also mentioning movies from yesteryear, I finally caught up with that documentary you recommended, the Scotty? Yes. Oh, my goodness, Mike. That is one of the most incredible stories in Hollywood history. This guy was unbelievable. Now, do you remember?
This guy would do it all. And I mean do it all.
Yeah, exactly.
My God, I can't believe kid comes in for the job. Kid comes in, he goes, I'd like a job pumping gas. He goes, sure, go get your uniform on. And then an hour later, kid's turning tricks in a trailer and back. I don't know.
Exactly. For those of you who are interested, this is a Netflix documentary called, I think it's on Stars. It's on Stars.
Stars.
Scotty and the Secret History of Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's also available on DVD and Amazon and some other places.
How about Cole Porter? He was busy.
Oh, my gosh. Cole Porter.
What's wrong with these? These guys, some of these guys are insane, man.
Yeah. Well, and just for our audience to know, Scotty was a guy who owned or operated a gas station, and so
all the stars would come in.
One time, Walter Pidgeon, who was a big Hollywood star, starts kind of flirting with him and invites him to his place, and they have a homosexual relationship. And then Scotty starts a business where he starts becoming a what do you call it? A pimp, I guess, to the Hollywood stars.
He wasn't an escort. He was a pimp and he would supply the men,
right,
or the women for people.
Exactly.
And it was mostly men, and there was people like, but the Cary Grant stuff was great, and
yeah.
There's a reason Cary Grant and Randolph Scott, they lived together for 10 years, for God's sake.
Yeah,
the secret history is something of Hollywood. Katharine Hepburn he supplied 150 different women for her.
Right.
So it's very fascinating stuff.
Right. And then
I'm just glad I didn't go in looking for a job.
Yeah, really.
The next thing you know, you put lipstick on and you're jumping around from bed to bed. All I wanted to do was work the counter.
And then one of the most incredible things is that they had a trailer at the gas station, and
of course they did. What good gas station doesn't?
And they divided the trailer up into 2 separate rooms, and the Hollywood stars would walk into these trailers to have sex with other men, and then leave, and that's how Scotty became a legend. It's unbelievable.
That's right. Scotty never said a word until now.
Exactly. That's the other thing about it.
My God.
Heart 4803 says it was the pumping station, right? Yeah.
Man, my God, it's crazy.
There's a lot of pumping.
One guy, Scotty did the whole archdiocese.
He did. That's another thing.
God.
Yes. When he was a kid, he went to Catholic school. So he got his start when he was in school. It was unbelievable.
Kids turning tricks at 11. I was looking for a nickel to buy baseball cards. Holy Christ.
And then the other thing it was somewhat disturbing. This guy owns like multiple homes, but he's a hoarder, and his homes were filthy with all sorts
I could have done without looking at his residence.
Exactly. I wish they would have cut that part of the movie out. At least like 90%.
There was an old saying back in the day. Guy at the bowling alley told me, when you go to a chick's apartment, if it's sloppy, get out.
Exactly. Run.
Well, Scotty, get out and burn it.
But if you're into movie history and so forth, it's definitely worth watching. And if you have a problem with somebody sharing these stories about Hollywood stars who are no longer here to defend themselves, there's one quote in the movie that really...
I agree with that.
Yeah, do you agree that he should not be sharing these stories?
Well, the problem is that people come up to him and he does it because there's family. But you know what?
Right.
He did what he had to do. He's 95 years old. He's got to make a living. Who knows how busy he is? He still bartends.
Yeah.
It's a good story. Look, I saw Neverland last night.
Oh, yeah. How was that?
A deeply disturbing story about Michael Jackson and the two boys. Right. But I mean, what's disturbing is if the mothers didn't know, they're so naive. Yep. The mothers of these kids, it's disturbing. These kids in court were not credible. And Oprah Winfrey, she's taken a hit today because they're saying the documentary did not have enough of a
balanced
other opinion.
Yeah, balanced approach. I guess
basically, you want to talk about shredding Michael Jackson up?
Yeah.
These two kids and those families did it, yet in court and stuff, they were found not to be credible, and they were found to have wanted to have it.
Interesting. Well, and there's a
part. You got to see that.
There's a part 2 to the documentary, so maybe they'll cover it more from the opposing point of view in the second part. But yeah, I wanted.
But boy, the first part they didn't.
No, huh? Not at all. That's
nothing.
That's sad.
They act like it was all on him. And wait, the kid's 7, and Michael Jackson asked the mother, "Can I keep him by my house for a year?" And she goes, "Yeah."
Oh my God!
Whose fault is that?
That is criminal behavior by the parent. That's what that is.
Absolutely.
Oh.
But it didn't sound that way. You got to watch it. Now, I'm not saying Michael Jackson wasn't a pedophile. That's not the point. Who gave him the opportunity? Who helped him? I mean, family members, money. He flew him from Australia. Free.
Jeez, that's nuts.
Come on.
That is nuts.
And the kid was smitten with him. The kid was his lover for 7 years.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, the parents didn't know anything?
Yeah, that's...
Come on.
That's
just my opinion.
Yeah. Well, we talk about everything.
The kid was screwed up. I know that. Jackson was screwed up. There's no doubt about it.
We
but he talked the parents into doing things. It's just crazy.
I was going to say, we talk about everything on this show, though.
Remember we used to talk about the Bears? Yeah, they put a halt to that real quick. Now look what you've done to us.
What did you think of Mitch Trubisky's new girlfriend, huh? Kind of a nice-looking...
My God, I saw her.
Wow.
Well, first of all, if you're Mitch Trubisky, you should have at least 10 girlfriends.
Yes.
Okay?
Exactly.
Unless you're serious about this girl, God bless him. And he's a good guy, all kidding aside. And you know what? She looks attractive. Very nice-looking woman. I think he's got the same horse I had when I was in Mexico. One that just wanted to stand in the water and soak his feet. Can we gallop?
Yeah.
I'll never forget. I got a horse. All he wanted to do was soak his feet in the water. I go, what are you, 70? I mean, he was a sweet horse. But, you know, in Mexico, you could go on horseback rides. With the guy that's half in the bag.
And then, Mike, I saw that you were watching the Cavallari show, what's it called? Killing Cavallari or something like that. What did you think about Jay Cutler?
Oh, I loved it. I got to tell you something. Miss Cavallari, she's a very attractive young woman.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay? Number one. I've never paid that much attention to her, to be honest with you, but I'm flipping around today, leading the retired life that I do, which means I go from the front room to the dining room, once a while going to the bedroom.
Well, you got a big
and just go on that rotation for 6 hours. Look out the window, peer out the drapes. A very attractive woman.
Yes.
And she got in a discussion how she wasn't respected and by this worker.
By one of her employees.
So she parted ways, by one of her employees,
right.
So she got rid of her. And Jay was all for it. Jay goes, you know, the only one's loyal to you is me, and you know, there's no such thing as loyalty. And all I made the comment on was she expects more out of her employees than the Bears ever expected out of his tired ass. Believe me when I tell you this. She should have coached the God blessed Bears. And, he was his usually mopey self. And,
Yes.
his big thing is swimming naked, whoopee-doo, welcome. I was 13 when I first did that.
I did see the episode yesterday. I couldn't sleep last night.
She was insane.
Yes. You know what? Your point on Jay Cutler is so on the mark there. He is just mopes around there. He pops in like about 6-7 scenes throughout the show, and he's always got this face, just the same face he had on the sidelines of the Chicago Bears, in between plays of the Chicago Bears. I don't hate Jay Cutler as much as you do. I thought that he had some good attributes as a Bears quarterback.
I don't hate him. What I do is I dislike him because of his disrespect to the franchise and to the fans and to the way that he went about his business for all that money. I do.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I do.
I agree with that.
But Miss Cavallari,
right.
Holy Christ!
Yes.
My God. Okay, you're a taskmaster.
Yes.
And then your husband comes walking in. He's like he's got his shirt tucked in, for Christ's sake. Although I haven't tucked in my shirt for like 40 years. It was okay. I watched it for about. I just was impressed by her business acumen and the way that she wanted her employees to fulfill their obligation. I said, "Have you ever looked at your mope of a husband? My God, fulfill his obligation."
Yes, exactly. Yeah, but
I
have to admit that if you watch I saw 2 or 3 episodes last year, and then I said, okay, I've had enough. I get the gist of this show. It's ridiculous. And then I saw yesterday's episode. It is somewhat entertaining in a really guilty pleasure kind of way, but I don't think I'll be watching any more episodes. I saw one this season. I kind of get the gist.
It was all right.
Yeah, it was all right.
I'll give her a pass. I like her.
Yeah, I do like her.
I got to be honest with her. She's easy. She's pleasant on the eyes.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, she seems like she's no doubt she's crazed. Okay, she's insane. But God bless her, because I wouldn't watch 5 minutes of him.
Yeah.
By the way, this is from my guy Munch. You want to hear this?
Go ahead.
Dang, Mike, I screwed up. Thought 9 p.m. my time for some reason. How can I make it up to you? I suck. I just put no worries. Me and Aldo have managed already. We've eaten up. We got so much on the plate. Bryce Harper. If he was in my backyard, I'd shut the drain. They paid how much for that guy?
That's 13
years.
$330 million. 330.
Are you kidding me? My God, I'm glad the Sox didn't get him. I'm glad the Cubs didn't get him. They're stuck with that guy. You know what he'll do? He'll pull a stunt in 5 years if he wants out. Just like Kyrie Irving already is doing it. Everybody thought Kyrie Irving was going to be a Celtic for 10 years.
Yeah. Not going to happen.
They can get out of these deals.
Absolutely. Hey, Stacy is in the chat room, and she says that you grew up with her uncle. His name is K-Man. Jim K.
Jimmy Carretzis.
Yeah, that's him. That's him.
I love him. Jimmy's my guy.
Yeah.
Tell your uncle, Stace, is that her name? God bless. I knew your aunt. I knew your grandfather. I knew Jimmy's parents, grandma and grandpa. Great people. Jimmy's one of the best, man. I love Jimmy Carretzis. We used to sneak into the Bear games together.
Oh, really?
I mean, we used to have fun. Oh, yeah. We used to sneak in at Wrigley. Then we went over to Soldier Field when we used to. I didn't pay for a ticket for like 6 years.
Oh, nice.
I would sneak in, standing room, hang from the rafters, find a seat.
Hey,
we used to sneak in all the time.
How did you become...
Me and Jimmy Carretzis, one of the great guys. Great guy. Lived over on Thome and Glenwood growing up.
Wow. She's saying you're hitting it out of the park. She just saw him last week.
I love Jimmy.
Yeah.
I'd do anything. And Jimmy would do anything for me. I know that. I haven't seen Jimmy for a while, but I talk to him every so often on Twitter. He's a dog lover like me, too. So,
excellent.
I mean, I've known Jimmy since we were like 9, 10 years old.
How cool is that? Stacey?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, Jimmy's he's a banquet captain at the Hyatt.
Oh, look at that. You even know where he works. How about that?
I know. Oh, he's my guy. I knew him all.
You got excellent.
I remember him starting over there when we were kids.
Yeah.
His brother was working. Dean, I think, was his brother.
Uh-huh.
Dean was was his brother, I think. And Stephanie was the sister. They treated me like gold.
How about
treated
that?
me, tell Stacy, they treated me like we raided when they went to Greece, the whole family except Jimmy. We got drunk on his father's liquor. We were in 8th grade.
I love it. Stacy says that Kay is a huge Hawks fan, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
yeah, big time.
Mike, I've always wanted to ask you this. Now, you grew up on the north side of Chicago. How did you become a South Side fan with the White Sox? What was it that brought you?
Because there was like 18 of us, and there was like 9 and 9.
Oh, really?
9 guys like the Sox, 9 guys like the Cubs because the Sox won. The Cubs had only banked, so, I like the Cubs anyway. I went to the Cubs fantasy camp. I ran Randy Hundley, Joe Pepitone, Sant. They had the better personalities. But I grew up just like in the Sox. They always battled the Yankees. Sox would have won 5 pennants if it wasn't for the Yankees. So that's just the way it worked out. But, I admire the Cubs now.
Yeah.
And I think the White Sox are run like the Titanic's first voyage. I really do. So I don't know what else to say. I try to put a stiff upper lip. They're talking about picking up Adam Jones, for God's sake.
Oh, no, please don't do that. Please don't do that.
They have no direction. And, guys like Michael, the Reinsdorfs think the fans are stupid. What they should do is they should look at his tax deal with the state and tell him, if you don't, you should have incentives. You get a tax break if you reach certain incentives. He's got it based on attendance. Well, they don't care if they do attendance. They get a tax break.
Yeah, that's how true is that? Bobby Phelan is in the chat room.
That's the way they run the organization.
Bobby Phelan is in the chat room. He says he wants you to give him a tip. Besides seeing a Cubs-Dodgers game in Arizona, that's where he's headed, what else do you recommend? What about some Sox game that he should attend? Anything out in Arizona that you think he should attend in spring training-wise?
First of all, I want him to look in the mirror tonight and tell himself that he went to spring training. Because I think it's so overrated, and I've been there. I went there 3-4 times, but only once when I didn't have to. My wife, I took BB. She liked it. Okay. The restaurants are just average. I think it's either spring training or bust. Go back to the hotel, hang at the bar. There's not a whole lot to do.
Bobby won't have a problem with that.
No, there just isn't. You go there and there's some good restaurants out there, but I was never. They got the casino out there, which is good. Casino Magic, nice. Which is out there in Scottsdale and stuff like that. And all the Arizona, the towns aren't far apart. You can get. I think it's a 2-hour drive. Like the Sox, Camelback Ranch is gorgeous. Camelback Ranch is great.
Right.
It really is. It's a nice facility out there. But, that's just where spring training is to me. And spring training, my buddies went last year, and they said, "Do you want to go? You want to go?" I went, "No, thank you."
Well, I'll tell you what. If this cold weather...
I went when Jordan was on the White Sox. That's when you got to go.
That's when you had to go.
When Jordan played right field for the White Sox.
Yep.
I went with Jiggs. And we went there and interviewed Jordan. It was cool.
I had some really close friends who just lived for baseball. They played baseball, semi-pro, and so forth. And they were angry at Michael Jordan because they said he's taken away a roster spot from a young kid who really has worked his way to get there. And I said, who cares? That young kid wouldn't make it anyway. Michael Jordan is selling tickets.
I'm sure they enjoyed hearing you say their son wouldn't make it. I understand. I understand what you're saying, though. Look, it was the weirdest time. It was the weirdest time. I'm sitting across a picnic table interviewing Michael Jordan in a black White Sox jersey and the black White Sox cap. It was weird.
That was weird.
It will never. Something happened. I don't know what happened, but he almost. He wanted to try it. He wanted to change up. Still, he could have won 8 in a row.
Yes.
And someday, I think down the line, he'll say, I probably should have stayed, but he'll never admit it to nobody.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
We won't get that full story, but if anybody does, it'll probably be Mike North. Mike, this has been a fun hour, and it is time.
Yeah, thanks, Munch.
Yeah, we want to thank Munch, who was supposed to be our guest tonight, but
we'll get Munch back on. We'll get Munch. We got Hawk next week, but we'll get Munch on in the next few weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. No problems with Munch. He's still a good buddy to Mike North.
Oh, yeah.
We're anxious to meet him in the future. Mike, this has been a fun hour. Say goodbye to your friends.
Goodbye, everybody. Went fast. See you, Aldo.
See ya.